Welcome to another episode of the 30 to Life podcast. It's your boy Mookie.
And your favorite color in the world, brown.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 30 to Life podcast, where we break stereotypes, build legacies, and help others along the way. Today's episode is really just going to be a barbershop talk, right? We just want to talk about a very important topic or recognition or celebration of someone who has really redefined the Black athlete and really broke a lot of stereotypes and is doing an amazing job in the community and on the court. So as you know, well, maybe you haven't heard, but LeBron is officially a billionaire with a B. Brown. How'd you hear when you hear that news?
You know, considering that, like, I'm still, on my journey to a million, he has a billion. So, how I feel about it, man, I'm just proud of him. I remember when he first came out, like I was in high school, he was in high school, we was in high school at the same time. So I remember like that whole transition of him going to the NBA at the first time, and to see him where he's at now. Like I saw his transition from boy to king. So congratulations.
Yeah, no, we really did. We grow up with him. He's slightly older than us, probably, but to be in the league 19 seasons, to be still playing and hit a billionaire is even more impressive, because I don't know if there's any other athlete who's been able to do that. I know not in the NBA, because Jordan did it after he retired, but that's a impressive feat, right? And he was hyped, right? Coming out of high school, like he was the most hyped athlete, all that pressure. And for someone who had all that pressure and he then exceeded it, on the court and off the court, is truly impressive. So it's amazing. And I was just like thinking about it, like all the things that he's done and all the stereotypes that he's like really just dismantled, right? Like, one, he's married, right?
To a Black woman, a nice brown skinned Black woman.
Yes, his high school sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
This guy, he doesn't have any scandals, right?
Yeah, I ain't heard nothing.
He plays basketball, which he was criticized for, but he shares. He makes the right plays. Like, he's a well-rounded basketball player, right?
Yeah.
And his I Promise school. Like, I think about that as well. Like, he built a school to help our people succeed, right? And those kids' lives are going to be changed forever. But then, you think about like all the investments he made as well. Like, he's crushing it. He's literally just crushing it.
So, his mother had him when she was 16.
Yep.
He didn't grow up with his father in his life.
Nope.
And look at him now. So, he's not only a role model for any Black boy, but, there's children out there who unfortunately don't grow up with one of their parents. And his mom, like 16, like imagine being a mom at 16. So, his life was not easy in the beginning, and he had to develop, that Mamba mentality that is almost either in the same level as Kobe or, just in that same trajectory. But his mental toughness is admirable. To be as successful as he was when he first came out, and just to see him now, like he's he's the one player who to me, in my opinion, gave empowerment to players. Like he, even though other players, before him, I guess, had their brand and used their brand, like i.e. Jordan, Iverson, but I think he took their blueprint and he took it to a level where he exceeded them because he did it while he was playing, like you said. And then his son, his son is one of the best players, in the world, so I mean, this guy is doing his thing. No, he's a great father. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but from what it looks like from the outside looking in, he did a good thing with his sons. So I gotta give it up to the guy, man.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, right? Like he has 3 kids, Bronny and his other son and daughter, but no scandals. Like this social media era, there's no hiding if he did, do anything crazy, and for him to not have any other than, the basketball scandals that he goes through, like, his what was it called? It was Miami, the decision, right? Like that's the biggest criticism he gets, or that he doesn't pass. I mean, he makes passes instead of taking the final shot, or that he doesn't have like that Kobe or Jordan mentality when it comes to just being, a scorer, but he scores a lot, right? He's second all time. So he definitely scores, just not the way people expect him to. I think he's, doing an amazing job and redefining like the Black athlete overall.
In a way, like, don't get me wrong, like, I mean, I respect Kobe, but in a way, I think Kobe mimicked his game so much like Jordan that in a way, to me, you can't criticize LeBron because to me, he has his own style. Like, it's his own unique style. Like Kobe was a student of the game. So he mimicked other people that he liked. Like I'm not saying that LeBron didn't do that, but LeBron doesn't play like anybody else. Like LeBron plays like LeBron. Like Kobe played like Jordan.
Yeah, but LeBron has like the, magic type of way that he plays, right? Facilitating and stuff like that, right? The Pippen kind of, style as well. And then at times he does have like Jordan, Kobe-esque things. So I think he's comfortable not being
he's staying in his lane. Yeah. He's staying in his lane. I know you can't say Kobe staying in his lane. Kobe's just like Jordan. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. Kobe's top 3.
I think well, yeah. I think even like I know you saw the Last Dance, what's called Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan, and Kobe and Michael Jordan was similar in terms of like their drive, passion, and like killer mentality when it comes to like scoring, right? But LeBron, even though people wanted him to have the same like archetype or profile as them, he still stayed true to who he was as a player.
Exactly.
And refined that part of his player. And when he needed to score, he scored. When he needed to pass, he passed, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely, being true to yourself, but just, focus on your strengths and improve it each and every year. I think one of the other things with LeBron is like he's in his 19th season going on 20 right now. And he's focused, he's disciplined, right? He's feeling like he could play for another 4 or 5 years. And eventually with his son. So
yeah, that's crazy.
It's, that's every person's dream. The only person I remember who had like their father, son, like in a major league sport, was Ken Griffey Jr. and his father. And I think they had one time when they had back-to-back home runs when they was on Seattle Mariners. So just to have that, I don't even know what that feeling's like, right? Like,
I
just
gotta be one of the best feelings in the world. Yeah.
So when that happens, oh man, like LeBron's just like, great father, great husband, great basketball player, great off the court, right? And he also talks about social issues, right? Like that's another thing that, he did well off the court. Anything that, happened that was, detrimental, to our community, he spoke up about it. Yeah. So, for him to officially hit a billionaire, right? And he's, what is he, 39? I don't know his age, but he's under 40 as a billionaire. So that's impressive. And I was looking at his company, Spring Hill, which is like a, media entertainment production company. And that's valued at $700+ million now, right? I think what they produced, like Space Jam 2 and a couple documentaries.
Also the Barbershop show.
Oh, Barbershop, and then also they did a Muhammad Ali documentary.
Yeah,
and yeah, he's majority, not majority stakeholder, but he has the longest stake in that company. So, and also his business moves are also timely, like him going from Cleveland, Miami, but to LA, right? To have a media company, production company, like that was intentional, right?
Yeah.
One of the bigger markets that focus. He decided to go there, and I think that also just helped him in his later years, where he is now, allow his opportunities to grow. So yeah, it's really impressive for him to be doing this, and he's still playing at a high level.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing about the production company I thought was cool was that he started it with his best friend, and that goes to say, like, look, you really still, no matter what, need a team. You need your tribe. You can't do this by yourself. And essentially, like, starting that with his best friend and having someone that you could trust, and he known him forever. I mean, that has to be, just a beautiful recipe for greatness. And obviously it transpired into, contributing to his billionaire status. Yep. So yeah, shout out to just synergetic teams,
But also, to add to that, I think a lot of times, and with the deal that he and his best friend Maverick Carter, he like they're friends, but they're doing business together, so it can work, right? And they talk about hundreds of millions of dollars, and like, who better to do, someone who your whole life, right? To build this business that is very lucrative for them now. So, but also, like, one thing that I also liked about LeBron is, a lot of times entertainers, athletes, they get the sponsorship deals, and it's usually, we'll pay you, $100K for the year to, hold this milkshake or this drink or something like that. But one thing that he does is he asks for equity in these different type of deals. And I remember earlier in the decade, he had a McDonald's deal that he rejected because they wasn't offering equity in the deal, right? And that's where a lot of people make a lot of money, by getting equity. Like 50 Cent is the one that comes to mind, when he had that vitamin water deal, and then Pepsi bought out vitamin, and he made like $100+ million because he had equity in vitamin water. So getting the equity is so important. And I remember Magic Johnson talking about it, where they offered him equity when he was like, I think with Nike, when he first was like coming in the league, and he didn't take it, and he'd be worth, I mean, that part alone, I think, was going to worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Wow. But he took the bigger upfront cash, right? And to fast forward, where, like, LeBron's on the Lakers now, and Magic has done well for himself, and stuff. But like, to see
from that lesson,
one of the biggest, best players and the biggest players in the world is not learning from those mistakes of others, right? And he's asking for the equity, right? Blaze Pizza is another example that he invested in, and so many other, partnerships that he has. But he is redefining it in all aspects of it, right? Like him meeting with like Warren Buffett, right? And learning from him, right? Not just, him, LeBron meeting with like Hakeem Olajuwon, or, speaking with Jordan or Kobe or the greats. He also did it off the court by, meeting with the best investor of all time, right? I mean, Warren Buffett, so he can learn and, improve himself off the court. So he's definitely someone who, wants to improve and become better than he was the year before. And that's one of the things that I learned from him, is just like, each year you upgrade yourself, you improve yourself. And he's done that from basketball every year. Like, he couldn't shoot too well, then he got better at shooting. He got better at, decision making each year, or, just his body, just making sure that it's at the top shape every year. And he did it also off the court, right? From his I Promise School, which are, helping kids go to college, not have to worry about student loans and changing their lives. He's just done so many things to improve each and every year. And it seems like he's just getting better over time in a lot of aspects.
78% of athletes go broke 3 years after retirement. So the fact that he is doing what he's doing, right now he's an outlier. 78%. He's an outlier. But yeah, like just to be a billionaire, like how many billionaires do we have? So there are 15 Black billionaires.
Yes, I can name all. I can name 8 of the U.S. people.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's go. Okay, Rihanna. That was recent.
Yeah.
Kanye.
Yep.
Jay-Z.
Yep.
Robert Smith.
Yep.
Who else? I said Kanye, right? Kanye. Yep. Okay,
Oprah.
Out. Oprah. Oh, Tyler Perry.
Yes.
And what's his name? James. What's the other black guy? You said
David Stewart.
David Stewart. Yep. More on the tech side. Him and Robert Smith. And who else? Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Those are all the American, right?
Yeah. Yes. The rest are like oil billionaires from Nigeria.
And then there's someone who's Jamaican and Canadian on the list too. I can't remember his name, but yeah, basically half of them are in the more than half, like 60% is in the US.
I mean, you got to give it up to the US. I mean, considering all of those Black billionaires, they came from. I don't know about Robert Smith or like all the athletes and all the musicians. They came from humble beginnings.
Yes,
and now they're billionaires. So America has a dirty history and still dirty things going on today. But you can literally go from 0 to 100 if you put the time in, you put the effort in, you be creative in your own,
build relationships and improve each and every year. So true. And I remember like the first Black billionaire when it first came out, and they said it was like in the early 2000s. And do you remember who the first Black billionaire in the U.S. was?
It's the guy from BET, right?
Yes, owns BET. He owned the Charlotte Bobcats. He actually named the team after him because his name is Robert Johnson. The Bobcats and everything. So Robert Johnson was the guy who owned BET, sold it to Viacom. He also was the first Black person to own a major league sports team in the Bobcats in Charlotte. And he eventually sold that to Michael Jordan, who's also a billionaire today. So, it's a beautiful thing how far, right? It was only one in 2001. And now fast forward 2 decades, at least in the US, we have, close to 10. So, it's definitely opportunity. That's one thing it says. And I think looking at it, looking at the list, right, or thinking about these people, right, we have people who are in tech, people who are entertainers, athletes. And, I'm really looking forward to when we have someone who launches an app, similar to like, the Facebooks or, the Apples or Amazon or any of these companies. And, they're added to the list and they're another billionaire, right? And I'm talking about where they're worth like 10, 20, $30 billion, like that level, right? So I'm looking forward to that. I know it's coming. It has to be coming soon. All our episodes that we've done and, have people are building apps or people talking about, investing in different apps and software. So that's what I'm looking for, right? Because I think, doing it as an athlete, entertainer is great, but I also want to just show people that there's other paths.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for our culture that we see it, right? And I think, one thing Robert Smith has been more intentional with, because he's more on the tech side, to be more public, so people more aware of him, right? Remember when he gave all of the Morehouse students, basically said, well, I'm going to pay all your student loans. They're gone. like that helped people. Oh, Robert Smith, who's this person, right? Because we know Michael Jordan, we know Oprah, we know, Tyler Perry, all these people, but we didn't really know who Robert Smith was. And the more he's more in the forefront, and it just popularized it, and people be like, hey. So that's why I'm looking forward to like when someone builds an app, takes it public, and they're worth tens of 20 billions of dollars. that's just gonna, just put it in the light, like, hey, like there's multiple ways to become a billionaire. It's not just through entertainment and sports. So,
So for those who don't know who Robert Smith is,
yep.
he owns a equity company that he only founded in 2000, right? Mm-hmm. So it's 22 years old, private equity company, and he's worth $6 billion. So he's worth more than Jay-Z, more than Rihanna, more than Kanye, more than Oprah. If you put them all together, he still has about 1 or 2 billion more than them. So
Kanye said he was worth $6 billion. So I don't know. But I think Forbes came out and said he was worth.
I got 1.8 on my end.
Okay, bam. So I mean, but Kanye's even the more interesting one.
Yeah.
Very interesting because because he was talking. He had one. So I want to talk about like what I learned from Kanye is like the vision.
Oh man, and so inspirational,
and the confidence that he has in himself, right? That vision and confidence, right? And and also doing it even when people say that you can't, right? Because he, if anyone saw the Genius documentary, like he was a producer and no one really believed in him that he could be a rapper. And regardless of people saying, like giving them the run around. And even when he got signed, they still were playing games. He still went ahead and did what he had to do so he could, build, right? And he took that same passion once he became, one of the most popular rappers or artists and got his Grammy and so forth. You see where he goes from there. He then decided to go into like fashion and clothing, and people were giving him a hard time again. And then he, signed this huge deal with Adidas and most recently with like Gap. And now that allowed his Yeezy brand to be worth billions of dollars. And he just leases it out to Adidas. So he has full ownership of it. And just his belief in himself, despite what other people think, it's definitely something I learned from him.
I mean, he's a Renaissance man. He's our Michelangelo, I think. Like he's literally dipping his hands in everything that he wants to, and he creates gold out of it. Like he turns lead into gold. Like his original idea or intention for his slides was to be $20. Those things are $200. So that just to me says that, if you put your I guess your essence into something and your idea and your creation, that you just have the grit and determination to achieve it, the outcome will go above and beyond what your original expectations are. Like, so that whole Yeezus thing, man. I mean, what's it called? Genius. Genius thing, man. Oh man, that was extremely inspirational.
And it was and another thing, just to add to the Kanye part, is like same with LeBron, like he was true to who he was as a person, right? Like at that time when he became a rapper, like being, the gangster rap mold was popular. Yeah. And he went against that in his lane, stayed in there and just exploded. And it changed, it single-handedly changed. We would have probably no Drake or J. Cole or
Big Sean,
any of these people, because it was focused on the gangster rap, right? And then it allowed the backpack rap and all this other stuff like that, and being comfortable in it. So he was comfortable in his own skin, and he amplified that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it goes back to our last episode. The gentleman we interviewed. What was his name?
Marcus Whitney.
Yeah, Marcus. We interviewed Marcus Whitney, and he said that he was really in tune with who he was and who he is, and he embraced his uniqueness, and he understood that nobody could do what he could do, how he could do it. And same thing with Kanye West, same thing with all these other, billionaires and there's people that are successful. Like they embrace their uniqueness. And I feel like we spend so much time trying to be like everybody else, but it's what makes us different that ultimately makes us interesting.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, it's so true. Like, if you could be anyone in the world, like be yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. So yeah, definitely from all these people, it's just inspiring. And LeBron, you know, on the field, off the field, like he's redefining it, right? Like to see a married athlete with no scandal become a billionaire, putting his legacy at the forefront and just changing the game of basketball, changing just things off the court. Like it's definitely something that you can model after. And it definitely changed the perception of just NBA player in general. So hats off to him. Can't wait to see who will be the second and third. Who do you think that is? The second, third? Well, not even second, because Michael Jordan's first in the NBA, and then and then LeBron. But who do you think the third billionaire in basketball will be?
In basketball, because I was going to say a favorite color, but in basketball, man,
think Magic. Think Magic.
Oh, you mean like anybody that has
anybody basketball? Yeah, because we only have two. Yeah, we only have two. So, I
don't honestly see anybody
another person else
that's like business savvy like that. I mean,
Kevin Durant, maybe he's silently doing stuff. And he's still young. Steph Curry, I don't know.
I can see Steph doing some stuff, but
Steph over time, right? Because he's young too. But
I gotta go with LaMelo.
LaMelo? Mm-hmm. You think LaMelo? I mean, he's young. He's what, 19, 20? So he has like 40 years on him. If his father's guided him well. Okay, LaMelo, that's a good one. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I think Magic probably, like, if he lives long enough, like he's already probably like in the 3, 4, 5s in terms of millions. So maybe him, but we'll see. I just want,
I mean, you also got like say, like, think about it like this, like most of the time we were excluded from all those other industries. We were only allowed to succeed in entertainment and
in sports. Yep.
Yeah. And so now that we have access to all these other industries now, like I can only imagine where we're going to be. So I mean, I'm actually like very optimistic for the future because, I feel like, because we now understand that we have access to something other than sports or entertainment, rather. I do think that we'll have our Facebook, our own type of platform like that of that sort. I see all these interesting people coming out from different countries that are inventing things that are Black. So interviewing all of these Black entrepreneurs. So I'm extremely hopeful for the future, and I do think that ultimately we'll figure something out where we have our own Black Wall Street one day.
Yes, it's coming. Digital Wall Street, let's do it. And we anyone's listening right now, continue redefining your Black experience, continue to break those stereotypes, continue to build your legacies, and never forget to help others along the way. So once you go up that elevator, be sure to send it back down so people can climb up the ladder or the levels with you. So thank you guys for listening to another episode. We really appreciate you. What episode are we at now? Because we almost hit 100. 98?
It's 98.
So 2 more episodes to 100. Guys, we appreciate all the support. Can't wait to hit 100. That's like the syndication number, right? So really appreciate the support. Once again, don't be stingy. Give to the needy, and the people need to hear the 30 to Life podcast. It's your boy Mookie.
And your favorite color in the world, brown.
30 to Life, we out. Peace.